Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for July 9th, 2013. My name's Rob Garrity. I'm the chair. I'm joined by my co-colleague, Vice Chair Scott Bugby, the clerk, Jim Lehan, our town administrator, Jack Hathaway, and Marion Harrington, our executive assistant. Mr. Hathaway, could you read the agenda?
Be happy to. Meeting of July 9th, 2013, commencing at 6 p.m. First order of business, we have discussion of Lake Street, followed by we have the town clerk in to discuss the open meeting law update and a recap of the election. At 7:45, we have Rocco Realty 2 LLC, continuation of a public hearing for a flammable license. We have a number of action items on the agenda and acceptance of the May 28th minutes.
And for those watching and for those here, this meeting is audio and video taped, so just so you know. So let's, Mr. McGee, why don't you join us up at the table? Start with Lake Street.
Thank you.
Hi, Bob.
Good evening. You gentlemen, I don't know if you know or you remember or not, but I brought along, and for the audience to know, Joe McNichols is an engineer from Norfolk County, and Joe, for the price of zero, put this together.
Good price.
This is an existing existing conditions plan, and you probably saw Joe's surveyors and people walking through your yards during the course of the winter, and in that process, it was going off great and fast, and then we get into a late winter, and it went on for a while, and thankful to have this information at all, never mind a little bit late. But the only thing that's missing now is more monumentation on the field, and I'm trying to convince Joe to, at the same price, come out and mark the exact street so that what you see up here, you'll be able to reflect at home, too, as you go down the street. We'll hopefully have some center lines in there. So what I thought would be a good idea, and is what the way we adjourned last time, was that we were going to do some field work, see what we have out there, what's existing. The lines, now if I get in trouble for anything that I don't know, any questions you might have, Joe's here as my support. He knows this inside out. But as, do you get that?
Oh, no, I'll go get it.
Just so you can, I don't even know if we need to, but the darker outer lines, where it says Lake Street and Main Street, the darker outer lines are actually representative of the town's layout. I believe, and Joe, just if I'm wrong or even close, let me know. But as we go down Lake Street and you see the dark line, and I think it mostly represents the frontage of your property, and that everything in between represents, therefore the negative represents the right-of-way. Because it's a variable width, I think that, is that correct to say?
Yeah, the heavy dark line that you see on the plan is the microphone.
Grab the microphone, Joe, if you could.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Do we want
Joe,
him?
come on up. Why don't you come
Yeah.
up? May I, Mr. Chairman?
Have a seat.
Thank you. Sorry.
So this heavy dark line on the plan here is the line separating on the plan of land that you have the layout of the street from, we usually call it the public way from the private property. Okay, and what we did was we did two things. We did an existing conditions plan, which is all the detail and the topography, and then we also did a cadastral survey to locate all the property lines that are on the street here. So the heavy dark line
Joe,
would be,
I'm going to give you this mic here.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's
for people
the
at home.
Listening audience.
Okay. So the heavy dark line would be what is being utilized as the layout of Lake Street. Okay?
The heavy dark line is the legal
Thanks.
boundary of Lake Street.
Yeah, it's the separation between the public way that is being utilized and what is considered private property.
If just to move on and stuff like that. So if you can see from your vantage point there, and I think Jack has, if we wanted to zoom in, we're taking this from Main Street. We're moving according to the direction there. We're moving north down Lake Street. If you can see the dotted lines, that's exactly the survey of the existing dirt road and how it fits into the right-of-way. As you go down, you can see there's a better look at it, Jack. I don't think this thing works on a works good there, but it doesn't work there, so. So anyways, yeah, if you can, that cursor can almost show you the dark line. You probably know half of what I'm saying here. This is simple map reading and stuff like that, but
This is the bituminous roadway, the pavement that is out on Lake Street at this end.
if you can, Joe, can you point out the station 1+00?
Right here.
There's 1+00. If you go down the street 100 feet, there's 200 feet. And then if you go down, there's 300 feet. This is located dead center of the town's right-of-way. Where it fits into the road, you can draw your own imagination. So if we were to take this street, reconstruct it down the town's right-of-way, that gives us 100-foot intervals, but it also separates the dock lines, which is the town's right-of-way. That doesn't mean that we're doing that. It's just so you can see how the road fits in and where it is centered on the right-of-way. So if you're going to have questions, and if you can see in the light there, it has everybody, the property owners and so forth. You can see the driveway going into each property, and
It's easier.
if, what can I tell you? If we flip the page and maybe we go down, and anytime there's a question, or if you're particular about your property, or you can see the straggly lines or existing grade lines.
This is the next section.
Yeah, as we move, each page picks up where the last one lays off, so there's a match line somewhere in there, and
It's right here. This is
so there's a little overlap of the first one the view that you saw, and as we move northward on the street, you can see you people, the property owners, the driveways again, everything that we just discussed. You can also see the existing, they surveyed and located GPS the stone walls. So this is all we try to accomplish, and last we met, I thought this would just be a good idea to just show you what's out there, and any time you take on a project where the gravel roads just move, when probably mostly the fault of the DPW, because we plow, we can't see, and we just move gravels, and that's the way it goes. And again, I just want to speak facts, and that won't happen with pavement. Whether you're pro pavement or you're against pavement, the pavement again will stay put. It will shed cleaner water. It really will. I don't want to get into the VOCs and all the technical terms and stuff like that. But again, it'll give us something to plow. It again won't change shape. So I guess the biggest question is that when we go down there, pave it, if we're going to pave this,
Bless you.
there's a couple of ways to construct this street without getting into any land shape. I mean, real changing of what you've lived with, what you appreciate and love. But there are some side slope issues. As you go down the street, there's some big trees, like just on the side of the road, that with those trees in the way, we really can't slope the gravel back. And as long as you have straight up and down gravels, without like a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 maximum slope, you're going to get your erosion and so forth. So I just wanted to show everybody this. If we want to take this meeting from this point someday to the street, and we walk down the street with map in hand, we can do that. And I'll give you my ideas of, and accept your ideas also, what really should happen with the side sloping and what trees should be removed. There's some big trees out there, and there's a lot of love for a lot of these trees. So I'm not, I'm just trying to state some facts here, especially by the McGrath's house. There's a couple of trees there. I don't even know the names of them and stuff like that. I wouldn't think of touching anything like that. But there are some trees that I'm pretty certain that is going to come down just when you don't want it, and that's in the middle of a snowstorm. It's going to take out some electricity, and that just always happens. So being proactive and being, preparing this for pavement, it's good to identify these trees, agree that they should come down, and that's what I'd like to do in the field. As we move down, you can see as Jack moved forward here, this is the property, kind of the trickiest area, actually. This is where the lake is, and Jack, can you just slide that down a little bit more? You can see the bend in the road, and I think you can, you see these, if you can, this is the water area, and
It's different on this.
I don't know if there's a better way to show the water, other than you all know it. This is the way the road travel right now. Here's one
This has a lot more
big
prominence on the
tree there
screen.
at Mr. McGrath's property and over there and so
This
forth.
dotted line is what's there.
I
Shows
know,
the
I know.
road here, and tell me if I'm wrong.
No, it's outside.
It is what it is. The road right now is traveling onto your property.
It's the same.
Should I say McCormick?
And again, this represents the center line of this, the center line of this, all the way through. And all that is there is to show us where the road is now, where the center line is, and as you move around the corner, this is a little tricky piece here to salvage the beauty and the existing trees and so forth, but this is something we'd have to probably talk out, whether we get that road inside the town's layout, which is the right way to do it, and how far inside. Doesn't mean that the road needs to be, the pavement needs to be centered on that line necessarily, unless we're planning ahead for something else, and I don't think that we are. I think that we want to go down there, so my recommendation is that we keep somewhat the same width, which is just a simple 18-foot wide road, be consistent with it, and forever that will stay there and not shift. But this is moving up towards, here's the corner of the, you can see the water here. I don't know, I'm assuming that this is years and years of runoff right here, that the real natural shape of this lake is probably back that way a little bit more. But this is the peninsula that's created. And with the materials that we use there, as you look down here, you can see the lake has a green tinge to it. And that's kind of like the stone dust that's in it. It's a rock material. It's a structural material. But these are the things we're trying to correct and put back. And then it depends on where we go from here, what kind of construction that we do will come with a cost. And we need to talk about that and how far along we want to go with this. Move stone walls, rebuild stone walls, side slope, or just leave things alone and go down there and just make that little, have a paver go down there and just pave the road existing as it is right now. I'm sure after seeing this, you might have some questions, so I don't know what else to say other than
Scott,
you get some decisions to make.
Go to the crowd. You guys have anything? Any questions?
No, I'm interested in folks.
I'm good. Is anybody out there? We're gonna
Joe, you want
have to have the microphone or another microphone. Christine, do you have another microphone?
Yeah, it's up on the chair there,
Okay.
right there.
So does anyone have any questions? And when you start, please identify name and address. We'll go to the map.
I'm Jean Lesage
McCormick.
at 14 Lake Street, and I'm like on the paved part, right across from the big blue farmhouse. Okay, and that area seems to be lower than it kind of pitches down in between our houses. And I'm wondering what happens when you pave that. Where does that water go?
Could you bring me back there, Jack?
Right
Towards
there.
Main Street?
Right there.
Are you there? Yeah. This is a plan, a profile would be like laying on your belly and looking sideways, so I can't appreciate the grades, I mean, for us to... Are you saying this is your property here?
Yeah,
This is Abbey Block O'Neill. So right here, you're saying this is this way it's going...
yeah,
Do you have any water problems right now?
not right now.
So your question...
It does puddle in front.
Where's number 18? Because if I'm right, that's the end of the asphalt.
Yeah, next to the right.
So right now, this is all pavement, rough pavement. And then the asphalt goes down there. If you, chances are, if we don't have, well, with gravel, it's a different situation. If you don't, I look at streets before we pave and stuff, and if there's no water problems, I try not to create any. But with the new pavement, every opportunity that I can, I'm going to try to get some natural runoff and natural filtration for recharge. There's some stormwater regulations, whereas, see, on this road here, I don't think anybody wants to start installing catch basins and trunk lines and manholes. Make this as natural as possible. And anytime we can get a chance to run off and let it filter through a grass well that I can create, the better. It's better for recharge quality and so forth. But I'm starting to ramble a little bit, but I'll look at that. I can't say from here what it is that we can do to prevent any kind of standing water. But I didn't mention that as part of this project, what I would recommend, because I'm taking up all that asphalt. That asphalt is just a mixture of 100 years of patching and repatching. It's just the base underneath it isn't worthy of putting good material over on top of it. So I'd like to lift that, take it in the truck and get rid of it, grade and shape this whole road before we pave it. so that we have a good compacted, consistent base of the right materials.
I'm John Gage. I live across the street, 15, the big blue farmhouse. I've got a stone wall.
Could you turn it up?
Turn that on.
On.
Oh,
There's a thumb button there you can lift up.
Okay, good.
Can I see that from you?
Sorry, John Gage, 15 Lake Street. I've got a stone wall, right? It's I don't know exactly where it is on your plan there, but I imagine
take a
it's
look at
pretty
it?
close.
What's the?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep, that's it. And I didn't know what your plans are to do with that. You know, is it going to be in your way? Am I going to have to move it? I've also got a well right behind that stone wall, and I'd
See that.
rather not have that disturbed if that's possible.
Well, you know, just looking at right here, looks like you're right on the money.
I think so.
Things aren't going to change. Over here, we start to drift a little bit. So depending on what our challenges are, we determine where the wall is. There are some stone walls. Jack and I took a ride today, and there are some stone walls that, well, first of all, to back up, some of the street kind of valleys through higher grades, and it looks like there's a cliff here and a cliff there, and on top of that cliff, there's some stone.
Yeah.
A recommendation that I would have real quickly is that we take the stone, roll it off, bring it into the center, you know, bring it over to the street. Bear in mind, these stones they've been moved through time and stuff like that, and then bring the side grade over a little bit more and put those stones back as closely as possible, but not at this grade, down at this grade, and possibly add to that so that we can create, excuse me?
Kind of like a retaining wall look, if not.
A dry wall, so water would have natural, so nothing, you know, very farm-like, but nothing to exceed maybe a wall of this height or something like that in a worse condition.
But that's actually what I'm kind of concerned about, because the rock wall in my front yard is actually like a retaining wall. The ground is higher behind the rock wall than
Gotcha.
it is in front of the road. And the well is so close to the rock wall, I'm afraid if we end up moving the rock wall, some of that will collapse and the well might end up collapsing.
Gotcha, yeah.
Does the wall go down to the street level, or is the
Yeah.
wall sitting up on top of a?
No, it's down right down at the street level.
I think it's a little farther down, towards the McCormick's, that
Yeah,
there's,
I think
there's
I
a
know what
wall
you're
that's up
talking
on
about.
top of a hill.
Yeah, there's a grade that goes up and then there's
Yeah.
rocks on top of that. Mine's not like that. Mine's right
Okay.
down on the street level.
I don't think the process Bob was talking about would affect your wall, but the process that Bob was talking about is where we're kind of driving, you know, this is an exaggeration, but driving through a tunnel. So you've got, you know, the roads here, you got dirt, and then you got a stone wall up on top. He just wants to fix that so that there's a, you know, there's some level ground at the street level, so that if you're walking, for one thing, you can have some room to walk,
Right.
but also that the stone wall is at foot level rather than at shoulder or higher level.
So the other question I might ask is, when you get your equipment in, and like you said, you're going to tear up that pavement and repave it, is you going to be able to get by there without, you know, having to move the rock wall to get your equipment through? Because it's kind of narrow there at that part of the road.
Yeah, let's take a look at the wall. If it doesn't, if I don't have to touch it, I'm running the other way. I'm not interested. And there's no width challenges for the piece of equipment. At all times during a project like this, we might post at the end of the way, no through traffic, but open to residents and emergency vehicles. That's typically what we do.
Yeah.
So if it means that the project stops for you to go by, it happens, and we'll do that gladly, especially emergency vehicles and so forth. But, you know, when it's coming, kind of, we ask you to plan your day, so if you're going to work, you're going to work, and, you know, maybe you get out just a little bit early or something like that. But even then, it's just, that's convenience to us. If it doesn't suit you, that's okay too.
Right.
But,
I also have a big tree there. It's on the map right by the driveway there. It's a,
Over here?
yeah. And that, you were talking about power lines and whatnot. And
Yeah.
It's a spreading, it's like some kind of a chestnut, and it's a big spreading thing, yeah.
there's a couple of definitions of public shade trees. You could say that it's certainly a public shade tree if it's inside the black line.
Yep.
Or some people will tell you at high noon, if it's just over the line and it has a shade benefit, that it's a public shade tree too. Looks like that's, but I'm just saying that as a, you know, nobody's threatened by that
Yeah.
rule or anything like that, but that looks like it's so far out of the way that if, you know, some trees may need to be just trimmed up a little bit, you know, or limbed or something
Okay,
like that,
yep.
but that's for the life of the tree too, you know?
Anyone else?
My major concerns is the well, really, in the front.
Thanks, Mr.
Yep.
Gage. Anybody else have any questions? Behind you.
Maxine Bless, 36 Lake Street. I was curious, what did conservation say about the lake and the wetlands on our street?
Directly, I don't have anything to share with you, other than they're aware that we're talking about this, and they're ready to pounce. If we get the green light and we go and we get it funded and we get your cooperation with everything that we propose, they're gonna be right there telling me and instructing me what to do. Is your question is, what preventative measures are they going to
Yes.
siltation fence and all that sorts of, that's gonna happen throughout the project. Joe, are you aware of any state-protected wetlands here? I guess there's a section that's got the eye of the state and maybe the DEP.
There you go, Joe.
As we get down and you see that we're getting towards a stream or some, wet areas and stuff like that, it'll all be, siltation fences and, like I say, hay bales or whatever we use to keep erosion from infiltrating.
Yeah, there's 2 environmental management wetland areas, I believe, 18, no, just one, I guess, 18.
It's up on the map, Bob. So,
There it is, right there.
Right there.
Yeah. So there's an order on that section. Other than that, we didn't find any on record.
What does that mean to me, to us? Do we need to notify the state that we're doing there and get beyond our conservation guidance?
It's been a while since I permitted.
I think that
I would
the Conservation Commission
Conservation
will do that for
probably
you.
going to go to
Okay.
DEP, and
Okay.
they'll get reviewed and then passed on or enforced.
And also, feel free to take all our trees in front.
At 36.
36.
I don't think we can take trees that are in your yard. We might have to take trees in our part of it. Any other?
Hi, Karen Gallup, 22 Lake Street. I was just wondering
believe so,
when.
yes.
Do we have an idea of, like, is it this year, next year, 2020?
Well, we haven't made a firm decision if it's going to happen yet. We have to talk about cost and mechanics and your schedule and what you want to do.
What happened in Chapter 90 this year, Rob, for everybody's?
I don't want to go into that.
Well, it's
Chapter 90 was essentially
Bears.
cut this year. The legislature passed an increase. The governor is negotiating with the legislature over a tax increase he wants for transportation. So instead of getting the 150% of Chapter 90 that we typically got, we got 75%? We got 75%. He cut it back because he said he couldn't see spending this money while he was still negotiating with the legislature. Now, they passed a small 3-cent gas tax increase last week, which he's, I believe, sending back to them wanting 6 cents. And Chapter 90 is still in limbo as of last call. So we don't know exactly how much money we're going to get. It's entirely possible to get less than the year before, even though the legislature has upped the rate by 50%.
I think what we'd have to do after having some more discussions tonight is, Bob's got to work to put together a full-blown cost estimate, and then we need to look at our available funds and see if it's either best case scenario this fall, worst case scenario, I would think it would be one of the first out of the gate next year.
What do you got in line behind Seekonk? You're starting Seekonk this week.
right, and some things just
Some
are
minor
popping up that really can't wait. We have some culvert problems. I've been,
Rockwood?
yeah, so, excuse me, so we're paving Seekonk, a little bit of Needham, Seekonk Street, then we're gonna come over and do Rockwood Road to close to Boardman Street from the center of town. As all this is going on, we're replacing crosswalks in the center of town, one at a time, nice and easy, so we don't disturb the businesses and put people out of business. I've a couple of intersection improvements that we want to do, and right now that's all that you've approved for us as a phase. So I'd like to get that done instead of taking on much, much more, get ahead of it physically, and any week now, maybe come in front of you with some more projects.
Okay. Any other questions? So we've identified a couple of options with this road, and you're leaning toward the kind of the least impact paving option, which is more or less what binder coat, not doing too much on a right-of-way change.
What we could do if we just, I think it'd be good to go this step. If we can show the center line in the field and everybody can get a sense for where the center line is, it may say to you that if we took this road and we paved it right down the center line with 9 feet on each side of it, that you might be gaining some land in some properties, and some properties may appear to be losing some land. In all, it's the town's property, but these people have been maintaining it as their own for so many years.
Right.
I don't abuse that type of thing. I wouldn't think of doing such a thing. But if we could find out where this road's going to go, and then like right away, pave it with the binder course. There's 2 processes to this. You grade it, you make sure your waters are right, pave it with your binder. It's your wear course, and you work off of that, and then at a later date you can pave it. If we binder it, and we can take our time when time allows, maybe just go down the road nice and easy, work with each resident, side slope where we can't. Right now they've got a dirt road without any side slope, and so I know this can work. And we can safely plow this thing. The road is permanent now. The runoff is better. It's cleaner. We're not chasing gravel out of the streams anymore. So I want to clean all that stuff up and then just go down the road and build some walls, replace some walls, side slope, remove a tree here and there, find out what people want, what they don't want, what's good, and as much common sense as possible. I think that'd be the best thing to do right off.
Bob, let me try it a different way. I went back and looked at the last meeting that we had, and what I saw, the consensus is that we were going to pave it, and that we were going to try and retain the original shape as much as we possibly could, with the least amount of interference to anyone's property. That was the consensus that I saw when I went back and took a look at it, and that's what my notes said. That said, is that what you plan on doing?
Exactly.
Because I think these folks should leave with some understanding that at whatever point we decide to do this, and we get the funding to do it, while you need to go through and perhaps identify specific trees and work with everybody on specifics, there needs to be at least a conceptual plan as to what the intent is, because otherwise it's tough for you folks to have a good feel for where you're going to go. So that's what I saw from the last meeting. If others here disagree with that, I watched the wrong channel, I guess. But that's what came from the last meeting that we had, so I'm assuming that's the direction you're going to take.
I think you just explained what I was thinking a little better than I did, that's all.
I'm not sure.
Exactly. I think we get the pavement in, we can work off of that, we can start the process of cleaning and restoring and never doing any more damage to the natural resources there, and then just work down the street. I think it's less expensive, less intrusive to the people.
Least amount of disruption
It
possible.
can even be fun. I mean, you can see it happening and so.
It'd be fun. This is a highway guy. This is our DPW guy.
It'll be fun.
So the only hairy spot in terms of the right-of-way was basically across from Crystal Pond.
Yes.
Can you legally just pave the current road and leave it like that, or do we have to enter into some agreement with the landowner who's in the corner? So what's the state of play here, Bob?
This is touchy. It looks to me, if we could just get this road over a little bit, see in doing that what impact it has on what's existing, what's precious to the homeowner on both sides. That's Mr. McCormick on both sides, the McCormick family. And it looks like there's not too much work to do here to fit it in, unless we're going to put a stop sign there and make a right-hand turn. Nothing like that. So, and right now, I'm just talking that it's almost to be left alone here.
How close to the pond are you right there? Do you not want to fit within the right-of-way because you'll get too close to the pond?
This tree here has a great root system that I wouldn't compromise whatever we do.
Mm-hmm.
If we bring the road over just a little bit, just in here, just to get this here and stuff like that, tree may have to be just manicured up a little bit, just for a little headroom, and then maybe not. I'm not sure. But the lake is pretty much. Would you say 160? You don't. Is 164 in the water? If they took a shot, it's.
No, the contour lines are ground elevations.
But they
And
disappear.
the last
I
one
know
would
there's
be
water
the-
right here.
Yeah, the last one would be at the water. I'm surprised, there's a lake there?
Yeah, I wish we had an aerial we could, you know.
Yeah, usually we put a heavier dark line on,
I don't
near
know
the-
if the edges here are,
no, that's a tree line.
We get a little elaboration, perhaps?
no, I mean, the 156, 157,
How
do they
far-
go too
That
close to
would
the
be the
water?
edge of the water, the
We'll
last,
get the
yeah.
microphone. Hold on, guys. How far from the edge of the road do you think, Ed, is, Mr. McCormick, is the water at that point?
What exactly point? I'm not sure.
So the big tree on the corner,
Yeah.
Those
and then
lines would end
go
at the
that
water.
away about 10 feet.
All right.
That way, back towards Main Street, there's a fair amount of room to the water until you come to the brook.
Okay.
Okay, I wouldn't want to guess, but I mean, it's 20 yards, 25 yards
Okay.
anyway.
Okay.
But the brook is there, but as you come this way towards my house, coming north past that tree, the water is within feet
Right
of the
there.
road.
Okay.
Joe was just telling me that these points here may be the shoreline.
Maybe the very end.
See how it just takes that little L shape? Not the tree line, but the 156, 157. Where they extend, that's probably water, this side of it.
That looks about right. That looks
Yeah.
like it makes sense.
So there might be enough room to jog the street a little to the south
Right.
and fit it back in the right away.
I'm kind of anxious to talk to you about this, how this might fit in. It's, you know, this is you on both sides, so I'm all ears.
Yeah,
We can do it in the field too, you know.
I think, it's very difficult for me to conceptualize what is what here, and I apologize for missing your first or opening remarks, but, it's what exactly is what, and because, if you go around the bend, and if you pave there, you're not going to be able to go 9 feet on each side.
That heavy dark
And our
line.
intent
my
is to,
house.
other than to take down some of the angles on the bluffs, the intent is not to do the typical thing you do on a road, which is to clear out
Well, if we were to
a
do-
good chunk of the right of way.
We were to build this specification, would be blowing this thing out wider.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
We'd have a minimum of 22 feet, and then you prepare 24 feet just to get a shelf and compaction. Not even talking about that. Don't want to make any wider than what's there right now. It's a great compromise if we can
You're
do this.
looking it in place.
Yeah. I was thinking too, we had speed and concerns and so forth. I think when we pave it and stuff like that, I was thinking we could do a couple of things. I think the speed bumps are just out of the question. But we can paint this road too. Just children's symbols and signs and little things like that. It doesn't really look crazy, but my experience is people pay attention to those things. Not, if you have a lot of signs up there, they become a collage, and everybody says, "I didn't even read it there. It's been there for 25 years, and I didn't even notice it." But a little paint in the street is much more the calming than any other notice that we can give vehicles. So if we go down there and stuff, and you want to put, they get the emblems of maybe a child walking across the street, you can print it right on the asphalt. No problem. Maybe a little sign here and there, but it's not a great place to be posting signs that look city-like. But
Yeah, no, you want to stay away from that. Okay. All right. Gents? No, question in back, Ed, if you can address that.
Jay Leyendecker from 20 Lake Street. I have a question. A number of years ago, a contractor worked extensively on the street at the request of the utility companies, helping to clear some of the trees and branches that so often come down. We get more than our share of power failures. Do you think there would be a way of partnering with any of the utility companies to help mitigate some of the cost of the tree removal that will be appropriate? Not just necessary, but really you can't be paving around trees, and we all have power out issues because of how many limbs and trees are up against the power lines, if that's any way of helping offset some of the costs that may be involved in the
we
project.
definitely can. As a matter of fact, if you have them come down and you recommend that they come and they trim the power lines, sometimes they do a terrible job. It'll look like this. And then if you really go down the street and study they're doing the best they can, and they keep us in power and stuff like that. But if they do that, and we go out there with them and stuff like that, I'll assure you that that won't happen. Or At least I'll do my best, you know, but I hear what you're saying, but looks like a, you know, beautiful canopy, and then there's a tunnel going right through it, just, ugh, no good, you know.
All right. Front with the mic, please. That's for your neighbors who couldn't come out tonight. So.
Chris Sweezy, 2 Lake Street. I apologize for being late. Train runs when the train runs.
You're at Main Street, right?
Exactly, yeah. So Mr. McGee was kind enough to come out when I noticed that there was 3 or 4, Bob, distinct orange markers.
I think that's one of them. That's a, would we call that a state marker or something like that?
What's that?
There's a marker right here that, you know, the road's way back here, and it looks like the marker really goes into this gentleman's property. But that is the one we're talking about, at least the one that I...
Is that the stone marker?
There was 3 of them. One was tied to a tree branch, and then there was 2 stones. And in effect, it looked like it would take off a big part of the isthmus at the end of the street, which would have benefits certainly for that hard right turn, but it would also take off a pretty big chunk of land off of the property. So I was just curious if
Oh, no. That was just to measure the right-of-way.
well, that's just why I'm asking, because we weren't sure what the markers were indicative of.
You're not going to be widening the mouth.
Well, you may have seen a number of things out there. At the corner, excuse me, right here, there's probably a stone marker from the county layout. It's a 6x6 or an 8x8 granite marker with a drill hole in it.
Yeah.
So we probably marked those up, dug them up, and you saw those. And then you probably saw random, either an iron rod or a hub, a wooden hub. That's the traverse that we used. We set the instrument on, and that's how we get our direction, and we locate everything from the traverse. So you might have seen 50 of those up and down the street, because there might have to have been one every 200 feet.
2 orange ribbons tied to tree branches, and they made us a line at the end.
I'd have to look at it to.
Sometimes I think that's just to tip you off that there's something close.
Yeah,
on the
sometimes
ground.
we'll hang survey
wasn't there.
flagging.
I'm only asking because it wasn't there prior to the survey.
Right.
Right.
We may have found a drill hole in this, is there a stone wall or anything? You know, we may have found something that we wanted to locate, and we may have put a piece of flagging up to remind us, or it may have been a traverse station that we put a piece of flagging on. Other than that, I can't think of anything else.
So that might be your real property line.
That's why I'm asking.
Which, you're here?
Yep.
On the
Yeah,
corner.
so
yeah.
the stone marker is your property line, your street line, from here around to here. This is all county layout right here. This is all street.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is quite a distance back from where you see the edge of the traveled way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is quite a distance there, yeah.
Okay.
It's just not, you know, this isn't a subdivision. We don't have a nice parallel width layout that you have a nice 24-foot road with sidewalks on it. This is what they call a sawtooth layout or a variable width. It's all over the place because that's just how it was established. As each property got broken up, you know, they established these lines on the street, and none of them necessarily are any equal distance from each other. They're all just, it creates a variable width layout. But as far as what they are, I'd really have to take a look at it and see. Are they still there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want to touch them.
I don't think anything's gonna happen, but,
Never know.
you know, maybe if it's still light out, I'll just shoot down there with you and I'll take a
No
look
big
at it.
deal. I just was curious if they were going to redo it or not.
Well, no, we haven't marked out any locations for changes in the right-of-way or the pavement or anything. There's nothing out there indicating where Bob wants anything to be or where anything is going to be. This is all just existing
All just property
conditions.
lines.
Yeah, this is
That's
existing
good for me, though.
conditions and property lines, and that's all that's out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you're
So,
welcome.
Bob, next step. You'd like to get out there in the field?
Right, I think if we could just assume that we're going to be paving this,
Yeah.
then we just apply when we can, when it's the right time to apply for the funding and so forth. In the meantime, this is available to anybody. I can get it to you electronically. You can come in and visit me one-on-one, although I like everybody's more well-behaved when they're in a group setting, but you can come in my office anytime. We can go scrutinize and meet you out there because we have time. I've got a boatload of work in front of us, so you're not gonna see us out there doing anything, I would guess the fall. Is that right, Jack? We're thinking,
I'm good.
or, I'd like to get something down before this winter. And possibly Chapter 90 said it might come back with a little extra funding. We've already got our Chapter 90 for this year, and it is less than last year. So if they come out in the fall or something like that with some more, I'd say we just get it on the schedule right there and then. Or let me just do what we need to do throughout the town, and because I got a handful of projects in front of you that just can't wait.
So, how many people do you, I guess what I'm asking is, do you want 15 people to call you individually to come out in 15 different days, or are you planning on taking people on do you want to set a time to show people what you mean, or would you rather just let them all contact you separately?
Joe, let's put Joe on the spot. Is there a chance I could get some kind of center line?
Sure, absolutely.
I don't know how that would stay, because cars are going to run it over, and it's going to quite often be in the travel path.
Well,
Maybe just get it a little deeper or
it
something.
would be a hub. We would set it flush with the ground. We would paint it up, mark it up so that it would have you'd have some ability to find it for a little while after we did it.
Yeah.
So, but, we couldn't put, typically we would, if you were gonna do this, you would do a bean pole, but everybody's gonna be driving up and down the street, we can't do that. So we'll just set hubs flush with the pavement or the dirt, and
Yeah.
right after we're done, maybe we can move in and do your view, and then it'll be as visible as possible.
I say if they can do that for us and people get a chance to see what it looks in the field, then I'll just take those calls on.
Okay.
I don't mind. I mean,
And you're able to email these plans to folks?
anybody that wants them, the DPW is, virtualnorfolk.org, and I'll get you request them there, and I'll forward you any of this.
Bob, when you presented last year, last fiscal year, you came up with I think a cost estimate of somewhere around 137,000
I have it in front of me, yeah.
in that neighborhood. That still
Right.
hold?
Yeah, you got to come up with, I'm sitting at my desk thinking, what it is that we're going to build here, and I didn't know, so, good glasses. Where are we? Lake Street. So we're looking at, I put money in for some drain repairs, tree removal and side sloping,
Oh, okay.
grading, 2 inches of binder, some finish work, police details. That 133 would be a nice number if I could get a hold of that kind of money right now.
Does that include doing all the way out to Main Street, like you were talking earlier?
Yeah, I'm going to rip up the asphalt, Main Street to Midway.
Okay. All right.
I'm all set.
Are there any other questions from people tonight?
Again, Ed McCormick, are you going to file a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission before any of this is done?
See that or go to jail.
We would want that.
They'll give you
I'm
new
a good lawyer.
glasses.
Well, there's a trap for the unwary.
Definitely. They're all over this. There's
Approximately how long would it take if you get the go-ahead?
like I said, we were discussing that a little bit earlier. The couple of way we can do this is, we get the okay, we get the NOIs, and we get all the siltation and all the hay bales in place where they're needed. And then what I'd like to do is maybe go in and start sucking up some of the dirt that shouldn't be there, and try to restore it as quickly, as a first phase of what I would like to do. Then I'd like to go and pick up all the asphalt from this point down to number 18, put it in the back of the truck, we grade it. I'm going through this because now I'm in the other side of my mind, I'm doing the timeline. So probably there's a week's work. Once it's graded, I don't want to lose it, so we want to pave it right away. But and if we go this route, that means that we put the pavement down and we go after the side slope. And the correct way to do it is to, get the money for the whole blown thing and get everybody to agree to it. And while it's gravel, do all the tree and the side sloping now.
Mm-hmm.
But it appears to me, and I'm guessing for all of you, that it's a little bit more sensitive. There's some people that, don't want anything done, and some people would like all the trees out, I think I heard. So I think for this case that we do what I told you and pave it, and at the end of 2 weeks, then we just take our time and maybe start at one end of the street and just go down. Maybe with some in-house forces, save a little bit of money, we get some talent in here on our own DPW stone wall work, and Or we get a contractor to work with us and just make our way down the street, case it at one property at a time.
So
And if that's the case, then we're talking into a season of work. But you live your life the whole meantime, because it won't be a big
the
distraction.
actual paving doesn't, that's the most intensive
Yeah.
thing, and that's not very long at all.
2:00 in the afternoon, we'll be gone. It's not two passes, it's just one paving width, so it's simple.
So you're gonna have to go in front of the Concom.
Right.
Does the planning board control the tree issue?
Yes.
So you'll have to have hearings on the trees.
Right.
In front of the planning board. So there'll be opportunity for more public comment and discussion, and you get to see their plans and exactly what they're up to. We have to go through all the same permitting that anyone else does. So, okay. All right, so if you'd like a copy of the plans electronically, drop Bob a line at the DPW. Yep.
I'm sorry, 53 Lake Street, Patty Bethel. I heard you say that, there was some concern about the speed of cars going down that street. And I heard you say that speed bumps were out of the question. I hate speed bumps, but I just wondered why speed bumps were not allowed.
The first thing that always comes to my mind, that if, God forbid, somebody had a heart attack and stuff, he's got to get to the hospital quick. That could kill him by the time he got to the end of the street. I mean, that's the real paramount reason. Other than that, I don't think our chief of police would accept it. You may have heard some extraordinary circumstances where maybe the town of Sharon or maybe the town of Dover had a street. Well, I heard they came out and took them down. So there's a handful of reasons. I build streets and I don't enforce laws or anything like that, but I think those are the big issues.
They wreck plows, they fall apart.
Yeah, you can plow slower and we can learn where they are and so forth. And if you get down, you ever been to Ikea down in Stoughton? They have a real gradual one where you can plow and it doesn't do it. It's like the length of the table, just
have some
before
in
you get up
Brookline.
and go down
In
and stuff.
Brookline
But
as well.
does calm the traffic but I'm going to leave that question for our chief to answer.
All right, so feel free to give Bob an email or any of us an email if you'd like to get an electronic copy of the plans, and then contact Bob about particular concerns you might have. And again, there will be hearings in front of Concom and Planning Board when we start to go forward. Okay? Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Joe.
You all set?
Thank you very much.
Joe,
Any-
Bob.
Joe, thank you for your work.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're
Thanks.
welcome. We usually see these projects
Sure,
to the
feel
end.
free, yeah.
The construction stakeout, as-built thing, permitting, whatever,
It is.
services you can squeeze out of my office.
Yeah.
We're available for it.
Down by Main
'Cause
Street?
We've started it. We generally like to see it through, okay? So,
You want to do the whole thing? It's your road, right?
well, we can't do any engineering for you, unfortunately. But, any surveying, like I said, we can do construction layout for you. We can do any as-built if Concom wants an as-built of a certain area. We can do all that, prepare those plans, submit them for you,
Excellent.
no problem. Okay.
Chief, those hats are not allowed in here.
Okay.
It's all good. I was just curious. Bob came out and looked at it, so.
See, you just got a call.
I'm there anytime you need me. You give a call.
Have a good evening.
Thank Chris.
You gentlemen need any cards?
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great, Joe. Thank you.
In case we need some.
You guys are always a great help. Thank you.
What's your workload look like? Are you everybody after you right now?
Busy.
Yeah, one for the minutes. So you-
Jackie.
I'll share Mary's, that's fine, thanks.
Like I say, we've already committed to work with you on this. So
Yeah, great.
we will just, anything we take on, I always make sure that it's subject to what we're current workload.
Can't thank you enough, Joe.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll be on the email with you.
Have a good summer, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Bob.
We've got it, fellas. I'll see you then.
Nice to see you, Bob.
That was something I intended to bring with me today if you want to get done.
Okay, thanks.
When are you heading out? Sometime we ought to grab lunch and catch up. I'm your liaison, for better or for worse.
Yeah, you want me to give you a call someday?
Sure.
Just say
Anytime.
no.
Anytime. Yep.
Loved your quotes in the solar story.
What was that?
The Globe story.
Yeah, Globe West.
Oh,
Globe
was
West.
it come out?
Yeah, this
it came
Sunday.
out Sunday.
I didn't see it.
Oh, you sounded very,
Yeah.
very tight. And doing the whole education thing and all
was
that
good.
like, and stuff. It was
My
good.
mother called
I
about
can't
it.
even
She
remember
did.
what I said. She's a nice girl, and it was
I didn't see the
about a half
article.
an
Was
hour.
it on?
The solar fields.
Oh.
Rob was quoted in Bob
And Jack.
and Jack. My mother read it. She called me first. Like, oh, I saw you in the paper. I said, no, that was Rob, Mr. Energy.
Oh, nice, Bob.
Not yet. Oh, okay. Not yet. Thank you anyways.
Good luck to you.
Yes.
Good night.
Hey, Robert.
Again.
Sorry,
So-
Peter's going slow on me.
We got 7 minutes. We have some minutes we could approve.
Well, that's easy. I have reviewed the minutes. I move to accept the minutes of May 28th, 2013.
Second.
All those in favor
Okay,
say
you
aye.
got it. Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Just send me an email, give me a call if it didn't come through, but I think I got it on there.
Consider the approval of a one-day liquor license for Tastings Wine, Beer, and Bistro, Patriot Place, Foxborough, for an event at Elmhurst Farm, 106 Creek. Have you gents read about this?
I have. Yep.
Any questions?
Oh, no. Chief's happy. I'm happy.
Chief's fine, Jack?
He is.
Yeah.
I move to
Is there going to
approve.
be a detail?
They're working on that, right?
We'll let him work that out, but I actually don't think there will be.
Okay.
Far enough off the road and not expecting a rowdy crowd.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I oppose no. The ayes have it. Directional sign for Norfolk Rink Management, Jane and Paul's Farm, and Four Kicks. Let's do them all at once. Any questions on them?
None.
No, just
These are the routines.
comment.
Yes.
For those that may or not know, Jane Falls Farm is somewhat open again.
Yep.
And there are blueberries and corn
There
soon to
will
come.
be corn, I heard.
Yep, there will be corn. They're going to do pumpkins in the fall, and there will be apple picking as well. So we don't know how long it'll last, but we'll take any season we can get because we sure miss them. So that's good news for folks.
Okay, so for the 3 applications for directional signs, and these are renewals,
So moved.
motion has been made and
Seconded.
seconded. Do all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. The ayes have it. We still got 5 minutes.
I got 4 myself.
4 minutes.
Yours?
Oh. You do the deed, do the conservation.
So Jack, can you explain, we are accepting a deed.
We are. This is, oh, I can put that up on the screen for you if you want. But this is really just the open space property at, oh, here we go. We got it right here. At Mr. and Mrs., well, former Mr. and Mrs. Buchholz's property. So way down at the end of North Street, you had that kind of nice farm, and then they just put that little cul-de-sac in that's up on the screen. Now the yellow area is the one on the screen.
Oh, yes, yep.
Yeah, that the yellow area is now going to be a trail all the way out to the Lynn Farm. So
Right.
it's, I can show you that.
Where's, Jack, on this map, where's the welding, the place that does welding? Is
It's
it
Yeah.
right here
right there?
or there, one of those two.
Yeah, I think it's up.
Actually, it's
Up a little bit, right at the end of North Street, isn't it? I mean, at the end of Union Street. Al's Welding, is that what you're asking
Yeah.
about?
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it was that planning board asking about them.
Up,
Oh, right.
right there, yeah.
Okay. So the trail goes right by us. Okay.
In the back of the.
Yeah.
And it hooks up with the Lynn Farm Trails?
It does. So you
It
can see
does.
it leads all the way out to the Lynn Farm. The big yellow, the colored yellow area is the property we're talking about taking, and then you can see it abuts the Lynn Farm,
Right.
which goes all the way around that in kind of a.
Lazy lopers or loopers. Or
Lazy loopers are down at the bottom, right?
Okay. So, what we're technically doing here is approving the donation essentially to the Conservation Commission for this land as open space recreation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
The second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the grant of a quitclaim deed from Andra LLC to the Norfolk Concom for open space conservation purposes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
How many of these do you need signed, Marion?
We got to do the whole thing.
Do it after.
It's 2 minutes of 7. You can knock off something else. Well, do you have the contracts, Jack?
I have the contract for Chief Stone.
All right, we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Talk about
All right, let's just go into the.
You just want
stall
one
for 2
signed?
minutes and do the 7 o'clock
Just one
appointment.
con?
Mr. Clerk, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm well. You're changed.
I did.
You look more formal
I was
now.
gonna say, well,
I'm honored.
not every day you get to go to a selectmen's meeting. Very
Would you
exciting.
like to join us at the table? Good evening, Mr. Dooley.
Good evening. Good evening.
You want us to sign a second one just to be safe? Or we'll do that.
Just the front page?
Just the front page? Pardon us while we.
Well, that's fine.
Alphonse
That's
Gaston
fine.
routine up there.
Just to be safe.
John added an extra.
I don't know what it makes. I'm signing, I'm accepting. Yeah, it's just nothing.
Don't
I've
worry
seen
about that.
I don't look at
Scott,
that.
Thank you. You just donated your home to the Norfolk Recreation.
Got a
Exactly.
huge mortgage. Good luck with that. He's got 2 of them, actually. I shouldn't say huge. He's got 2.
There you go.
I'm glad to give it a
Yeah,
shot.
exactly. Upside down. You guys can have it.
I'm out. We're moving.
All right, Mr. Clerk, you're here. Give us another open meeting law fresher, if you
Yep.
can, and we can talk about our elections and
All right.
get you home.
Which one do you want to go first?
Do the easier one first. Open meeting law.
No, they're both going to be easy,
they're
so
both
it's
easy.
so it won't be a problem.
Unless we watch TV.
Unless we watch it. Okay. What I did was I just, I spoke to the open meeting law unit with the Attorney General's office, and I just asked them, any new updates or things along those lines. And so what they've done is, they have a new update that just came out July 1st on union and non-union contracts. So I put that off for each of you. Also, what they did was, which I actually liked, which it's been a while coming. This past March, they came into checklists for entering an executive session, and then also checklists for posting a proper posting of a meeting. So that way, it just kind of takes, and then creating and improving meeting minutes. So that way, it just basically kind of takes all the guesswork out of it. I would say, when I was talking to them, they said by far the biggest issue that they're still having with boards of selectmen is executive session. They said, people going into executive session for the wrong reasons, not declaring, one of the 7 things, and with very, very specific, qualifiers as to why why the board is going into executive session. And then they said the other problem that they're having is still a lot of boards ratifying things in executive session. I know we don't, that's not
We don't
it's
do that.
never been an issue here, but that's the big statewide issue where, they'll do the negotiation in executive session and negotiate it in executive session, and the whole 9 yards, and sign and seal, and the public never gets never gets released to the public. So that's by far their biggest problem.
Because once the need for secrecy is over, all the executive stuff should be published.
Should be public, exactly. Except for the case where, there's, obviously your executive session minutes are, somewhat, more vague. But, except for, if you're calling into question any particulars, moral character or anything like that, if you're negotiating,
Right.
An XYZ contract with a union in town, and there's some, less than, savory elements in there that, could be called into question whether they're real or factual or opinions or things along those lines. And so those are perfect for executive session. Once that's all been finalized and washed, it just needs to be public. So that, that was basically it. What they also did was they updated the executives, all the, and I brought you the most recent open meeting law guide. I went through it with them, and they said basically all of the changes were just housekeeping.
No.
There hasn't been any new major changes, in the March version of this. It was a lot of just clarifying some things, issues. Norfolk hasn't had any violations. There hasn't been any complaints or anything along those lines that they've looked into. And so, they were perfectly happy where how everything was going down here. So
That's good
that's
enough.
that's good. That's good for me. And so I was gonna say,
To every board, John, or is this just Selectmen specific?
Norfolk in general.
Okay.
They
I figured
haven't,
it was.
they haven't had any. There hasn't been any issue. But I was asking specifically
Okay.
select board.
Okay.
But Norfolk is very, very good from the standpoint of, we do above and beyond a lot of the things, some of our recordings, always having NCTV, recording things along those lines, and that's, is better than most towns. They said, most of the violations they found are the silly, executive session, not intentional, or they're completely intentional. I mean, it's completely backroom, dealings and things along those lines, and and meeting it, after hours at someone's house,
That case in Wayland where they could hear the camera before the movie, or before the
Right.
hearing started. We're
Exact-
going to do this, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Things, those sort of things are just completely blatant. And then that one, I wouldn't even say it was that blatant. I think that was, it's wrong, but I don't think they were trying to do a backroom.
I think that was Hernandez Financial Advisor.
Right, exactly. I don't think they were trying to do anything untoward. I think they were just trying to speed up the process and
Right.
and forgot their role. So I brought
That's great.
these for each of you. So I think the
Thank
checklist is probably the best thing. It just makes it easier. So
Yeah, we get those occasionally. I haven't seen the updated one from
Town council.
King
yeah.
Pete.
So this is the most updated, and then the union versus non-union contracts. It's just a couple. They just added two basic questions. May a public body approve a non-union personnel contract in executive session? Basically, the final vote has to be in open session. And then may a public body approve a collective bargaining agreement with the union in executive session? And it, again, has to be, you can approve the final terms, but then executing it is in public session. So those are the two things that they came out with last week that just clarified that. So there's one paper clip and then a staple for each of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
So moving on to the election.
Yep.
So you got the letter from.
I got the letter from Copeland Page. As I expressed, there's been a lot of confusion throughout the years, and a lot of things have been done in Norfolk's history. And Jack and I went through all the the town meeting reports back into the 60s, where so things have been changed 3 or 4 different times, correctly or incorrectly, however. And there probably could be an argument being made to, with this particular election, ratifying it and things along those lines. But we came up with the conclusion with town council, the cleanest and easiest way is just to treat it as a
1 year fill.
a 1 year fill, and then go on to the next year have the 2-3 years. The other interesting thing that Copeland and Page suggested was, from the standpoint of the Secretary of State's office, the Secretary of State's office would prefer it being a staggered term.
Yep.
The way to do that would be to do that at fall town meetings. She said, given, it's funny, the constable position is really kind of given a short shift from a standpoint of there's not really any language on it on a lot of other things. If we were going to change the selectmen's term and things like that, we'd have to do that at a spring town meeting, and fully ratified and everything like that. Whereas constable, we can basically change it whenever, she's like, the easiest and cleanest way would probably be at fall town meeting,
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to do it that way. So put it on the warrant for that. And so then in the spring, there would be a 2-year, a 3-year term and a 2-year term.
Yep.
And then anybody that was applying could apply for either the 3-year term or the 2-year term.
Right.
And so that,
And then the 2-year term would become a 3-year term.
Exactly, exactly. So it would be, that would be the easiest way to get into it. And she's like, and that way it's completely clean. The way it's done now, you can argue it either way, but this way there's no need to even,
Right.
no need to argue it.
Would you, as the chief election officer,
Yes.
Is it your preference to stagger the constables?
It would be my preference to stagger the constables. I think from the standpoint, it's less of an issue currently in Norfolk because we have the police do a lot of the constable work.
Yeah. the posting kind of stuff.
Well, the constables do the posting, but for as a lot of towns, the constables will actually act as the enforcement officer inside of the elections. As far as opening up the ballot boxes, things along those lines. Currently in Norfolk, we use the police for that, so that's not an issue now. But down the road, it could easily be an issue, because what the problem is if you have both of them up and there's a third person running, then neither one of them can act as a constable.
Why don't, yeah, Mr. Why don't you, I agree with you. I would stagger them.
Right.
And let's take the easy, clean route. Can you put an article forward?
Yep.
And we'll get it on the fall town meeting, and
Okay.
I think I'll certainly support it.
Yep.
We'll move on.
What's our date? Our drop
February,
dead on
November,
it?
no, the drop dead day, we said
September
third week in
8th or
August.
something?
No,
No,
it was August. Was it
I
September?
think it's September.
Yeah, I thought it was September.
We had a little screwed up today.
Is the warrant open already?
Oh, yes, the warrant is
okay.
open.
So you can give it to us tomorrow.
Well, we already have it. We have it from town council. You want to submit that?
I was gonna say I'll
Clean it up a little.
I'll
It's a
clean it
little-
up.
it's a-
Hers is a little wordy.
I was going to say,
Well,
it's
it's $25
One,
a word.
two,
so we can,
3, 4 pages
People will be
to
like,
say
"What am I voting on?"
to
Yeah.
say what I just
said in 2
said,
seconds.
and I was as wordy as I could possibly be.
You're stretching.
I was stretching it, and
We'll leave
I
it
still
in your
didn't get
hands.
into 4 pages.
All right. So
Get
we'll
it
see
to
that
us
in the
before the
fall.
end of August.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it.
Unless you get anything else.
Nope.
We got to get you some new. Speaking of correcting mistakes, we got to get you some new registrars, and we got to vary their terms.
Yep.
'Cause 2 of them are up at the same time.
Yep.
We are sending letters to the town committees to fulfill our statutory obligation to ask
Okay.
them for.
They're supposed to submit 3 each.
They have to do it by 30 days, or act now or forever hold your peace kind of thing.
Right. Exactly. If they don't do it within 30 days, then you guys get to make the appointment unilaterally, even though it should be a Republican and a Democrat.
I think right. It has to be because of the way it's.
You can't.
You
Well,
can't have more than 2, and so you're already an R. We already have a D.
right. I mean, I was gonna say if I was unenrolled, that would be the exception. You could have 2 Rs and an unenrolled
You got on.
and 1 D. No.
So we'll be naming an R.
Well,
and a D.
I've been an R my entire life. I'm not changing now.
Well, probably.
You could name 2 Ds.
No.
No, you can't, because we already have a D.
One.
We can't have 3 Ds.
Can't have 3 anything.
I don't think there's not 3 Ds in the Norfolk anyway. So
And we'll choose some.
We don't have any of those televisions anyway.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. Well, and the real caveat, though, what makes it very, very difficult is they cannot be serving on any other board or
Yes.
committee, including as an officer in the town committee.
Exactly.
So that's where it becomes very, very difficult. Is people that are politically active and are willing to serve as registrar have already been appointed, and they're on the library trustees, or they're on the zoning board and
Yeah.
things along those lines. So the town committees really need to branch out and reach out to their members and try to get someone that's not
Is-
affiliated.
Jack McPhilly still a registrar?
Jack McFeely's not a
He
registrar.
can't. He can't.
Oh, that's right.
We
We
appointed
appointed
him.
You guys
to town.
appointed
We
him,
appointed
and
Yeah.
so he had to resign, and then David Rosenberg was appointed.
That's right.
So,
All right. So we'll get you 2 new ones.
and I think that's about. That's about it.
Speaking of Mr. Rosenberg, he has a online petition that he's passing around for an open meeting amendment, trying to allow people to elected officials or committee members, I should say, to participate in online discussions. So I'd be happy to forward that to you if you're interested.
Violates.
Let's get tricky.
Good luck.
No, it's just, he's well within his right. The registrars are allowed to be completely political. I have the policy, and most of the registrars agree with it. From the standpoint of if you're going to be a registrar, we don't have signs, don't have the bumper stickers, don't things like that. And Mr. Rosenberg disagrees with that, and it's well within his rights. And same with this. That particular position is sponsored by MoveOn.org, and so. So I don't think it's necessary. The spirit of it I actually like, from the standpoint of it having a Facebook post where it would allow the 3 of you to comment on things that on say a Facebook page,
Mhm.
and it would not be considered deliberation, even though you're speaking as not Rob Garrity citizen, Rob Garrity selectman. you
And
know,
it is at least public.
and it is public, but, you know, that's right now, it's kind of in a gray area.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm on the other side. I would be very much against that. I think it definitely allows people to engage indirectly in a debate.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is totally against the spirit of what the open meeting laws are all about. It's a way to circumvent that process, and it will be abused.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that's, you know.
It will be abused.
I think the problem is, today, I agree with you, I mean, but as we head more and more towards social media, it's more the way we communicate. I mean, even today on the news, they were talking about the federal government is encouraging municipalities to use social media to alert for any types of disasters, et cetera.
But that's entirely different, Jack. I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
We'll get there, I think, maybe because
I
it
mean,
gets more
but
ubiquitous.
but I mean, I understand the what I like about it from the standpoint of is, you know, is if you could get 2,000 people, you know, in the community actively participating in an online forum, would be much better and more communication than 170 people showing up at town meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, so there's the yin and the yang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the problem, there's good and bad to this
Government
process.
by
You know, I mean, if you want,
Well,
if you want an
there's the
example,
problem.
look at Norfolk Net. I mean, we're in fact,
Did you know I'm for higher taxes?
in fact, just recently,
I did know that.
in fact, just recently there was. Hey, it's my turn. Are you done?
Hello, pot kettle.
Are you done? There was recently just a post on Norfolk Net where a statement was made that's absolutely untrue. Totally incorrect statement. And that's the problem, is that you have no check and balance to that process. And people use it, unfortunately, for their own agendas and misrepresent facts.
Oh no, trust me. I had when I was running, I had a very busy Boston law practice that I made millions at, and I also owned the, you know, construction company that was building the new school. So I mean, you know, that either one of I would have been
You're
happy.
the reason
to,
that
I
pile
would
of
have
dirt's
been
still
happy
out in the front.
Yeah.
So
Oh, interesting.
all right.
Anyway,
so,
now
so
that's something we can resolve.
We're
Okay,
ran off
thank you very
topic
much.
There, so
Good luck in there. When do you leave for your triathlon? Pretty soon, right?
Oh, the triathlon's not till
August?
August
East
12th.
right.
But we have the clerks. I have clerks school starting on Saturday.
Hold on,
so.
before you go. There's an audience tonight. Yes, Mr. Fallon, you have a question. Microphone.
Right there.
Here's one up top. Here. There. Anywhere.
Is it green?
Yeah. Good evening, Chairman. My question is, was that opinion you got from the Secretary of State's office?
No.
It's from our town council.
Well, I thought you were going to get something from the Secretary of State's office.
Secretary of State's office gave me their opinion that they wanted our town council to rule on it. They didn't care.
Now I heard it.
From his-
Huh?
That's what I heard
Okay,
from
now, that's what, yeah. But I heard it different. So we're having different versions of this. And my version is different than yours. And what I come up with from the, according to the papers from the Secretary of State office, 1, we were supposed to have a special election. We didn't have it. 2, we were supposed to have someone fill it in until such time a special election, and not a 3-year term.
So what we've done, what town council has told us is that,
Supposed to have
and
a
they
special election.
actually we could forward the letter, right?
Sure.
It's,
Yep.
it's actually it'll be a part of these minutes, but I can give you my copy to take with you, Dan. So she looked up the case law, and essentially what happens is you can't be elected to a seat that doesn't exist. So no matter how it was posted, if it was inadvertently posted as a 3-year, even though because the only seat that was open was the 1 year,
Yes.
then it's a 1-year seat. So that's the decision out of town council. So as we were talking tonight, it's a 1 year, and we're going to have an election next spring for 2 constable seats. Now, as you heard, we might go to town meeting and have one of those constable seats be a 2-year and another one a 3, so that now they're staggered and on different cycles, because there's a compelling reason to do that, a public reason to do that. So
But why am I get one opinion and you's got another? I mean, of course the town council's going to, do it this way. I mean,
there's not any other way. I mean, well, there's.
What would you what is the opinion that you got? And what would you like us to do?
okay. Well, I will tell you what I like to do. First of all, I feel it's invalid, number 1. 2, because we didn't have a special election. And 3 is because of the fact that the slot should have been, just like the governor's race.
Well,
I mean, like when we had the Senate race.
There should not have been a special election.
We don't
You're
have a provision in
absolutely
our
wrong.
bylaws for that. We don't have.
Absolutely wrong.
We fill vacancies at normal elections. We don't have special elections, and we don't usually appoint to fill a vacancy.
Then there shouldn't have been a 3-year term either.
And that's the point. It wasn't a 3-year term. It was a 1-year term.
It was on the ballot 3.
It was
I mean,
a mis-
let's
yes.
contradict yourself when you just said that.
Okay.
And what town council said was we were trying to correct an error from 2002. Town council said, and there's argument that you could make either way.
Right.
You know, wouldn't you say, Jack, that town council you can make the argument either way. But the cleanest thing was to treat it as, basically as a misprint. And it's, even though it's a 3-year term, it's acting as fulfilling the remainder of a vacated seat.
So I spoke to Secretary of State's office last week, as I mentioned to you.
Yeah.
And what they had said is, essentially, they punted to our town council. And Copeland and Page actually has the former head of this division, the elections division, there, who handles elections work. So I have to put our faith in council, and what she has said, and I'll give you again, you can take the paper with you, Dan, is it was a 1 year. We're going to do it again in the spring.
So in other words, 3 of us can run. The other 2 plus myself would be 3.
Anyone
can run.
I
There'd be
understand
42
that.
people. Yeah. Yep.
And Rob,
Now it won't be like it normally would be. If we go to town meeting in the fall and change it to being a 3-year and a 2-year, it would not be. If it's both 3 years, it'd be the top 2 are elected out of whatever. If it's going to be a 2 and a 3, you have to run for the 2 or the 3.
I understand that.
So it'll be either one person running for 1, 2 people running for another one,
Or 41.
or 4 running for 1 and 6 running for the other.
and just to clarify, Rob, I spoke to Michelle Tassinari, who's head of elections.
Yep.
It wasn't,
No, yeah.
so that was, she's the final say.
But how come we don't have something from the Secretary of State's office?
Well, the head of elections was on vacation. So, and plus, they're not going to weigh in on.
And she said it's not an issue.
They're not going to weigh in on this.
It's not a state issue, is basically what she said. It's not a state
local
issue, it's a local issue.
A local issue was wrong.
But it was
Been put on the ballot
hold
for
on,
1 year
everybody.
instead of
Okay.
3.
Mr. Fallon, I know you don't like the decision. That's very clear. But it is the decision. Okay. This is why we have town council.
Sure.
We don't have a skin in the game on this. There was no intent or ill.
Oh, of course
No
not.
ill intent.
It
It was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
This is how council's advised us to go forward. This is what we're going to do. So, the issue's closed.
So,
Thank you.
Dan, you can take this with you.
I'm out.
Yes.
I don't know. Let's talk about your drapes. No.
Talk about my drape.
That big boat model. It's just.
Everyone loves the big boat model. I get more comments.
That's because
on
it
the
pierces the ceiling.
big boat model. It doesn't. It just touches just barely.
Pierces.
It's not piercing. I will show you there is no pierce in that Sierra.
And not a dime of public money was spent on that big boat model.
Exactly.
That's right.
Or on any of the pictures. I do have a painting in my office of
By the way,
Thank you for coming in, Dan.
Yes, thank you. Have a good summer.
of 9/11.
I do think, isn't
that
it
is on
time?
loan from Dorothy Chafee.
Isn't it time to relocate the clerk? Don't we have another office? that
Yeah.
needs
Yeah,
to
exactly.
stay?
It's been
Sean keeps redecorating
needs
his
to
own
be
It's
done?
been 6 months. Yeah,
Time to go.
Time to go.
I think right down in recreation would be good for another 6 months.
We will have a beautiful town hall by the end of this.
They all painted.
It finishes each room off.
Sounds nice. How about the old town hall, Sean? We can
Yeah,
get you
yeah,
down there.
yeah.
You're a
the
construction
whole
guy.
thing.
Sean, take
I
over
could have the whole thing.
Have the whole thing.
I can even show you where the old clerk's window was. It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
It'd
Yeah,
be, you're a carpenter
Right next
guy.
to
It'd be
the fridge.
fixed. It'd be beautiful. Sean fixed
You
it.
can have a nice parking
With the
space, too.
ceiling caving in and all 9 yards. Yeah, that one's good. That one's good. I might need a bigger budget if I'm
We
fixing up that
we
space.
can even assign you your own parking spot.
Yeah.
Unless I'm
For
not there
$75.
first.
No, we'll put your name right on
It's
it.
first come, first serve. So, yeah,
All right, thank you for that update.
And to his point, he has said that he's spoken to Secretary of State's office and some woman that I've never heard of. So, it's, I'm not sure, and there's no provision whatsoever for a special election ever for a constable.
I understand the chagrin and the concern and all that, but,
It's going to be taken care of next year anyway.
at some point, we have to move beyond it.
I mean, and I was going to say, and as I've said, the only reason I'm bothered by this issue at all is it smacks of sour grapes and gamesmanship that certain people have complained after the election because they didn't get their outcome. So that's always just,
I understand.
From a personal ethical standpoint, that's always just disturbing for me. But besides that, it's town constable. I don't care. It's not whether it's a 1 year or a 3 year term. I don't think it.
It's funny of all the positions and all the different elections and all who would have.
Isn't the better news anyways? It's going to be back up again next year, right? There's 2 positions as opposed to.
Right, there'll be 2 positions.
Right, 2 positions.
Isn't it a better outcome anyway? I mean, other than we're not going to have another special election or redo it, but it only lasts till next spring.
And I like having them being staggered, and that was the intent on when I talked to Jim and Jack and and historically, that's the way it should have been. So so we were trying to fix that some error that happened that we don't know why happened.
Said there was no ill intent.
Right, but the only way to and as town council said, the only way to fix the error going back would be to invalidate every election for the past 12 years, which seemed a bit stretching.
No point.
And it doesn't, none of these.
And it wouldn't change the outcome, to be honest with you.
And it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
No, because I think it's every year since his run. This was the first opposed race
in a long time.
In a long time, I think since in the 90s. So
this provides more opportunity for elections.
More elections, more voter turnout,
and with staggered terms, people have to make decisions.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good summer.
Thanks. You too.
I assume you can't run for both the 3 and the 2, right? You can't push any both, can you?
Rob, I didn't mean to. You should.
Yeah. No.
It needs to.
Oh yeah.
Needs to end. I understand it, but it reaches a point of diminishing returns.
Good cop, bad cop. That was good. Jim stepped in. Rob's a nice guy.
No, it wasn't a good cop back. It's just it just needs.
Great cop.
Rob's a nice guy.
Sleep go.
We get till 7:45.
7:45. We're not there yet.
Yeah, those we gave Sean 45 minutes. I guess we were a little long in time.
Why don't we do the contracts for the police?
Yeah. So apropos of the conversation we just had, we have some contracts, Mr. Hathaway.
Yes, we do. We have one. We're waiting for the proposed contract from Lieutenant Murphy to come back. He's been on vacation, so we don't have his signature yet. But we have the contract from Police Chief Stone that we've talked about. And this is to extend him for 3 years. So now this will get him through, and his state mandatory required retirement at age 65. So
this is his last contract.
This will be his last contract, other than unless we appeal to state legislation, which on the police chief side is very rare. There's only been 1 or 2. And apparently not well supported by the Chiefs Association. So.
Yeah.
So, to your point, yes, this would be
he
the last
retires
contract.
as a Norfolkian.
Yeah, and he can go back to the water department. I mean, he did have some time in the water department many years ago, so he could do that. There's no forced retirement age then. So.
Oh, we seem to have problems getting a super, right? Or do we? Is that one?
We have a good one right now.
Okay. Can we keep him?
I hope
this
so.
time?
I hope so. He's doing
At least till Chuck's contract expires.
right,
Is that what you're trying to say?
3 years, then Chuck.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes.
Just for folks at home, Chief Stone's been in the department for forever.
Yeah,
30 some odd years. Yep. And he's been chief for 15 years.
I should know that off the top of my head.
But it's in that range.
It's in that range.
It's in that range. And he did have 2 years.
93, so 20 years.
20 years. Why are we asking him? Why should I ask him that? That was a foolish thing on my part.
It was foolish of you.
But just for folks at home, they do have mandatory retirement for chiefs, both fire and police, at age 65. We wanted to be sure that Chuck remained our chief till that date. He wanted to be sure that he could remain our chief till that date, and we're all thrilled that we're able to work this out in a nice, friendly way to the town and a friendly way to Chuck. And it's a thrill for me to sign this because he's been a great chief.
I second that, and keep talking. I'm trying to find something.
It also just, I think we talked about it a little bit, but we've done a little bit of restructuring. We have promoted one of our captains to deputy chief in the fire department, and we're now promoting one of our lieutenants to a captain. And
nope.
Is
Sorry, I messed up. Lieutenant to deputy chief.
That's what I thought. Why did you say that? Yeah.
I apologize.
I got to go back to Marion again. Good evening. So I will hopefully, we're, by the way, just as a point of information, we're doing the same thing with the fire chief and renewing his contract, and we hope to have that done again here very shortly as well. He is, ironically, the same age as Chuck, I think.
Yes.
And we want to be sure that we keep him through his retirement age as well. So.
Well, there you go. Nice.
Oh, very good. Wow.
So that's 1985, before he was chief. The tall guy in the back.
There's Chief Stone in the middle.
Yep, the tall one. Trefel's the guy with the mustache.
Yep.
Yeah. Bill Trefel was the chief back in the mid '80s.
Who's this 16-year-old over here? Doesn't look old enough to drive.
I think that's Sergeant Shannon, I believe.
Yeah, that is Sergeant Shannon.
Deputy Chief Carroll, I should say, is the second from the left.
John Holmes on the front right, left. That's John Holmes. Yeah.
John Carroll right above him over his shoulder.
Another, looks like he just started shaving.
Oh, my Lord.
Paul Murphy right next to him.
Yeah.
Yep. Dave Holm.
Where did you get this picture?
Dave Holt.
This is on the Norfolk Police Facebook page.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Dave Holt is
Right next to, yeah.
In the middle. Yeah.
You got a fan favorite of the educational system is
Plimpton.
Steve Plimpton, and
Yep.
and a short guy in the back.
Yeah, the back.
Yeah, in the
that's
back.
his face in the
That's
back.
okay.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
there.
that's
Yeah.
He must be ducking a little bit because he's not that short.
He's not that short.
Al Washkowitz is right next to him, third guy.
Bill Trefel didn't stay chief that long. He
I went to school
4
with his
years
son.
maybe. About 4
His son
years.
Mike. That's my age. So
Not much, maybe 5. I don't know. He lived down here. He lived on Boardman Street. Trefel.
And Officer Shannon grew up on Boardman Street, actually. So, well, we have a.
All right, so I would like to make a motion to approve the police chief's new contract.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the chief's contract. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
How many copies?
There's 4, and here's the 4th one. So you each have one. And I had signatures earlier. Signatures done earlier, but if you could just take a vote on Deputy Chief Carroll's contract too, that would be wonderful.
I move to approve Deputy Chief Carroll's contract.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the deputy chief's contract? This is another 3-year.
5.
5 years.
This was a package deal. Now we're
Package deal.
forcing Lieutenant. I'm going to have a hard time with that. Deputy Chief Carroll to
That
stay
one's
through
good.
the next 5 years as well. And John Carroll is
It's good.
an outstanding officer.
And that needs Scott's. That one too needs Scott's signature.
All right, so motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. So we've locked up the police command structure for the next 5 years.
We do, and so that'll get me through my retirement, I think.
You wish.
Yeah, I do wish.
That long?
Thanks, Jim.
All right, gentlemen. We're not quite at 7:45 yet.
Unfortunately, not everybody else does. We have not heard back from the applicant, so we're hoping.
Really?
No, we have not.
Second time, I mean.
he doesn't show, I'll just move to close the hearing. And
You want to continue it some more?
I think he should reapply.
I don't want you to get in trouble for discussing an application.
Oh, I'm sorry, the mics weren't fully working. We can't have this discussion until 7:45.
We have some appointments to consider if you want to go down that path.
Sure.
12 minutes to kill.
Cultural Council, Robin Westman. Is this a reappointment? Yes. I'll go back to the top.
I move to appoint Robin Westman, term to expire 2016, to the Cultural Council.
Second.
Any motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? No. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Zoning Board of Appeals, and we have heard from the chairman. Okay.
And we've heard from the people as well. Yeah.
So,
I move to appoint Robert Luciano, term to expire 2018. I move to appoint Jason Vanderpool and Donald Hanson as associate members, terms to expire 2014.
Seconded.
very good. Motion's been made and seconded on the 3 appointments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I have not heard from the chair of the CPC or one at least of these appointees.
Nor have I.
Can we tickle them again? Make sure everyone's still interested?
Yes, all we've heard from.
All we've heard from. He's the Precinct 2 appointment.
So we'll reach back out to the chairman and the at-large. And
there's no one else step forward to want to volunteer either, as far as we know?
there's one that's potential that has not filed an application, but reached out to me today with some questions.
At-large or Precinct?
He's
know
a
where they live?
Precinct 2, if I'm not mistaken. So could be at-large.
Okay.
A neighbor of somebody in my neighborhood. I didn't used to be Precinct 2, that's why I was confused.
No, they have changed. All right, thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, could you, we do need to finish it by the next meeting, if we could. So if we have another candidate, then we need to interview the candidates. If we don't, then we'll move forward.
Yeah.
But we would, it is our policy to hear from the chair, and it'd be good to do that.
Yep.
Maybe we could get our new liaison to the CPC to do that.
I could reach out to Cindy. If it's
Ooh,
still,
touche.
is Cindy still a chair?
I think I'm the liaison.
No, but I would just, I used to work for her husband, but that's
You
fine.
wa- you
can reach-
wanted that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can reach out. She's probably listening.
Okay, I'll double check with Cindy, see what we can get. It'd be good to,
Someone.
always good to get people involved,
Oh.
new people and old.
Okay.
Does anybody want this? We've got an extra.
I have one. Thank you.
All set.
What else do we have, Rob?
I can tap dance for a minute if you want. I did receive a message from the town accountant, and she's starting to get the books closed. Payroll is one of the easiest, in a sense, easiest things to do because on the expense side you get encumbrances and a couple more bill cycles to do. But on the payroll side, we had $100,927 left in payrolls at the end of on the municipal side left in budgets. So that's
unusually high.
that is a little higher than normal. We had some positions open.
The
And
DPW one?
DPW,
would've been one,
yeah.
That's a big chunk.
Yeah, we lost a superintendent.
Well, that'll flow to free cash.
And then both police and fire, I don't know the exact numbers, but both police and fire turned back 5-digit numbers by themselves. So
Excellent.
that was good news. So
That will help come the fall.
it will. So we're heading in the right direction.
And 120 grand in checks.
We had, did we talk about that last time? We got $122,000 from NSTAR over the last couple of weeks, so that was good. That is payment for the net metering credits that they owe us, and the remainder of the money, it looks like Mr. Bulk and I are trying to finish tying that out with help from accounting, making sure that each individual account, and there's 24 or so accounts that we've, we have to. It's a convoluted tie out. So, but we're tying out each one, making sure what we're generating, what we're getting the credits for, what we have been paid for in the past, what we've been paying on their bills, et cetera, all comes down to what we think is the right credits. So we're applying these checks, but Instar wouldn't pay us in total cash, so now we're getting credit on the rest. So we still should get a $100,000 or so credit at the end of the day across all those accounts. So that will help us in our 2014 budget make it, which is good because we really slashed the facilities budget this year in order to get a balanced budget. So it's good news.
Yes.
Can we reach out to our state senator and our local representative to get on this prison mitigation money ASAP?
Yeah, I haven't. I know there was some work being done about a week and a half ago by the senator's office, and also obviously assisted by the representative's office. And Senator Ross filed an amendment to the budget, and it was defeated trying to increase prison mitigation. And I think that was for 2014. Was it?
It was a supplemental.
Yeah, supplemental budget for 2014. I was hoping there was some talk a while ago that they were going to try and restore the 2013 prison mitigation money, and obviously that hasn't happened, and I don't think will happen at this point.
Walk me through this, Jack.
Yes.
The prison mitigation money was 9 seed, which means the governor unilaterally struck it from the budget after it had been put in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he has 9C authority when the budget revenues don't appear to meet budgetary needs. Correct?
We have surplus.
That sounds correct.
But we seem to have ended the year with a surplus. Do you remember the exact number?
Do not.
16.
I think it was $500 million.
I thought it was 16 million.
Okay, well, it's a million.
I'll go with your number.
Multi-million-dollar number.
A large surplus. So that would appear that the 9C cuts were unnecessary.
Well, unless you add, there were more 9C cuts than just the Department of Corrections.
That's true.
Right,
But
education.
Prison mitigation money, I believe, in total was only $2 million.
Correct. It wasn't a big number.
That was a small number.
for communities that are bearing the state's burden.
Yeah, it's and I'm not arguing with you. I'm just
No, nor are we with you.
no. Yeah, he has the ability to do that because the Department of Corrections budget is within the executive branch's authority, and he can make those cuts without legislative approval.
Mm-hmm.
You are correct.
500 million.
Yeah, the 16 million was a different number I was thinking. Sorry, you're correct.
So that's quite a bit of money. Okay. Just to be just trying to figure out exactly how some folks in Boston think cities and towns can run their cities and towns when not only do they get their prison mitigation money, which was in the budget, taken away 4 days after they spent it, but also their promised highway money getting cut from X amount to X minus 25%.
Yeah, 25%.
Okay.
On top of that, having the value of our pilot land, so our state-owned land, the value of that was dramatically cut by the state. So instead of our assessors saying how much it's worth, they get to have their assessors say how much it's worth, and that was cut dramatically.
That's right. Yeah, of course. Well, it's surprised that they said it was less than it probably really is.
We went from
Nice
it was over $200,000 of annual revenue down to $130,000 of revenue. So that was 2 or 3 years ago. Hasn't been a lot of fun dealing with the state.
Okay. That's our state minute for this meeting.
The other update I just would give you to kill my last 3 minutes is the school project. We're gearing back up to finish that, I guess that parcel off, the right on Boardman Street. There's where the Freeman Centennial came down and has looked like a construction site for the past year. They're gearing up this coming Monday. Unless they didn't do it today, did they?
Boardman, no.
No. Okay, so it's this coming Monday, and they've guaranteed us it's less than a 6-week window to finish it. So they'll be putting in a field. There's an additional parking lot that'll go in, And then after that, hopefully we have a meeting with the MSBA next week just to reconcile those numbers with them. And assuming that we end up with the available funds, which I am relatively confident that we will, we'll be able to finish that last playground, which is kind of right in just off the entrance to the school. And and then on top of that, we just finish all the punch list items, and we should be 100% done by the time school starts late August, early September.
Oh, great.
So.
I thought the Seekonk project was going to start Monday.
It's this week. It's so over the next couple of days they'll be doing some brush work and stuff, just cutting back. Thursday is when it begins in earnest by doing the milling of the road, assuming the weather cooperates. But they'll do the milling of the road, and then it's next week they'll start doing some paving and striping in August. And then right after they do Seekonk, then they jump over to Boardman, Rockwood, and Rockwood Road. They go from the center of town where the tracks were recently done up to just about Boardman Street, up to the Grange anyway, and a little bit past that.
It'll be done before school starts.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're going to be.
Is the guarantee 6 weeks?
Yep. And they're going to be doing some work on the sidewalk on Rockwood. So if you ever walk that sidewalk, it's kind of a little bit of a challenge because there's some dips and curls and meandering. Bob wants to straighten that out some. There's some places where he's going to have to keep the meander just for safety reasons and for to save a tree reasons. But it's going to obviously be a much flatter and better surface to travel down. So that'll be nice having that cleaned up.
On the field where the old school used to be, will it be seeded or like sodded? And so it really won't be a field usable. Does it have to have a grower? Or is
You're right. It'll be seeded once the weather cooperates. I mean, we already kind of had that discussion because they did say that they'd have it all done in August, and we said, well, please don't seed it in
But they will sod it for us by any chance?
No, they won't.
They will not sod it.
They will.
think so.
They will.
They
will if you want to pay an extra $385.
Yeah, if we can find no, thank you. I thought maybe just out of the goodness of the heart since they've been so strong.
Maybe we could find a local business that donate sod.
Let me tell you, the process.
Might not take either, but yeah.
The process of public structures, and when you make a change,
the money,
it's just you cannot possibly fathom how they can manipulate the system in a way that it disadvantages you to the extent that it does. And the key is just you don't change anything. I mean, it's about the only way you can get through a project in a reasonable way, because you'll never get if you change something that costs you $1, you decide not to do it. You're going to get about 20 cents on the buck back on a credit.
Doesn't make any sense.
And it's frustrating, very frustrating. We had some very entertaining meetings, did we not, Mr. Hathaway?
When's work going to start on Gumps?
I don't know the answer to that.
I could, the last, and it's a little out of date, like 30 days, was that it was going to start in September. And they were hoping to have it done by the end of November. Now, the only thing they're doing is the playground and the parking.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following year, they're going to do the garden and the trails.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Are they really going to put that garden in?
Pardon?
You could use some new close corn.
That's as current as I have.
You're going to make me run again.
Jack, have you ever heard from the...
It is 7:45.
Southwood people?
No.
It's dead, you think?
I think that's dead.
Really?
Hey, we haven't heard a word, have we? No.
7:47.
Mr. Chairman, you want me as clerk to...
Mr. Clerk, would you read the notice of hearing?
Well, we just are continuing the hearing.
Right.
So we are continuing the hearing for the Norfolk Board of Selectmen Licensing Board for the Town of Norfolk. We are continuing a public hearing under provisions Mass Law, Chapter 148, Section 13, on Tuesday, July 9th, I think is the date today,
Yes.
at 7:45. This meeting is being held in Room 124, 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass. 02056, on the applicant of Rocco Realty 2, LLC of Walpole, Massachusetts, to store underground 24,000 gallons of gasoline on premises located at 242 Dedham Street, Norfolk, Mass. And Marion, I understand the applicant was duly notified of the continuance, and we have had no response.
We send certified letter too? Is that what we do, or just notify? Okay.
Phone calls.
Okay. No.
So,
And he had indicated originally that there would be someone attending on his behalf.
They sent out the notice, so I mean, it's not like they didn't know when the meeting was.
So I have to admit, this is a first for me. I've not had someone petition for a public hearing on a project and not show up.
I've had it happen a couple of times at the zoning board, but never had someone blow us off twice.
Well, let me ask a procedural question. I would Marion, you may know, or Rob, you may. I would suspect we have two choices. We can either close the hearing with no finding, or we can continue it again. And if we close it with no finding, then the process starts all over again. Right? I mean, there's no ill will or anything like that. It's just, okay, you start again.
Without prejudice, kind of.
Without prejudice, yeah. I mean, that's what I would recommend.
I would second that. I mean, we tried twice.
It's not fair to this
Butter's
gentleman
been here twice, right?
who's shown up
And they
twice
can
to
come
ask
back.
questions and have a no-show on 2 occasions. I would just recommend that we close the public hearing without a finding, without prejudice, and the applicant is more than, we would certainly welcome their application again. In truth, it really doesn't delay anything for them. Just another
Well,
public
you'd have
hearing.
you'd have to go through the mailing process again, and
Does he have to pay an application fee? No? Okay.
So there's no cost. Has
Other
to
than
mail.
mailing.
they're all certified.
I mean, I don't want to create a hardship for them. That's not my intent. I have no desire to do that.
I called him the Wednesday after our meeting and told him about it. About his machine, left a message. And then I called today, or yesterday, to ask if he had received it and was it coming. I said, please get back to me.
I don't have a bias one way or the other.
I would continue without finding, without prejudice. I mean, again, people have shown up for that. He's not, so let him come back. If
You
he's
mean you
serious.
close?
Yeah, close, absolutely.
Or con-
Yeah, if he wants to come back, come back. But don't do this again either. I mean, if you're going to come back, come back.
I mean, we have dragged in a butter out twice, and that's the thing that is kind of, if it was just us, we're here anyway. But it's part of the chief's job, but there is an interest in a butter.
You could continue it for 30 days from now, so that
You want to give him one more chance? I mean,
What do you think? No, sorry, ask. Yeah,
I live less than a mile away.
I know what you mean. But you still have to come out,
Not
though.
a big hardship, but
No, but
and the game's not on until 10 tonight anyway, so it's you're
there's
okay.
there's no
I'll be
hockey.
fast asleep, tell you.
There's no hockey game.
To me, I mean, barring something unforeseen, this is a reasonable request that I suspect we will look favorably upon. But why don't we do one more continuance and we'll see what happens? And can we send him a certified letter?
You know, to say that he's not coming.
Yeah.
It says something.
It does.
It's unusual. As I say, it's never happened before in the 9 years I've been here on this board. I've never experienced this before. It's a first.
Well, I move to continue to July 23rd.
It's not 30 days, but we have another one after that.
we could do 6 o'clock. We have town council coming in at 7. And then poll hearing. Or we could do. I was kind of curious if you guys like the 6 o'clock.
6?
I have no problem with that. I just didn't know 6 o'clock work. I mean,
You mean meeting at 6?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to do it during.
No, summer
I
hours.
don't mind for summer. I just don't want to do it in the winter.
Do you have a problem? 6 o'clock okay with you?
6 o'clock's fine.
So we'll do our meeting at 6.
Yeah.
History shows it's going to be a short meeting anyway.
And we can get rid of a lot of agenda items and then go into the poll hearing and the town council. Okay.
So I move to continue the hearing until, do you want to do it right at 6?
Sure.
At 6 p.m. on July 23rd, 2013.
Second
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I would ask our beloved administrative assistant to send a certified letter.
Yes.
They don't call me beloved.
All those in
That's
favor
why
say
I
aye.
made sure I got that right, because that would never happen.
All opposed, say no. The ayes have it.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, sorry to bring you out.
We get to see you 3 times, though. This is you're our biggest fan.
Our average attendance is way up.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Mr. Hathaway, what else you got?
That's that is it for me.
I just have one update. You remember all of our good discussions on King Philip.
Yes.
Well, King Philip has reached out to the 3 towns to participate in the budget process. There's been 1 meeting. There'll be more. And I have met with the budget subcommittee, and I look forward to working with them. So,
Excellent.
I don't know that the other 2 towns have responded yet. But we have.
Mr. Bugbee, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
All right. Jack, Marion, anything to add before we adjourn?
I spent some time going through the annual reports. Oh, 2 things. Spent some time going through the annual reports, just doing research on that constable issue, and actually was trying to find the vote of when they had the 3-year term.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was one. That's an aside. But in 1902, there was a vote at town meeting, and I do not know the results, for us to regionalize with Westwood and Millis.
In 1902,
Yeah.
Smart.
you mean schools?
Mm-hmm.
Regionalized schools?
Regionalize for a contract with a superintendent for the 3 towns.
With Westwood?
Westwood and Millis.
And Millis.
Strange. That's interesting.
So I'd be curious as to what the.
Not even contiguous.
What happened to Medfield?
Yeah.
We didn't want to work that one out? No, Medfield, I was going to say,
We had to
Medfield,
skip
we
over
were mad
to
at
get
them or
that, yeah.
something at the
I
time?
don't know. It was.
Well, Millis approached us in the late 80s
Yeah.
to regionalize the elementary system. And there was a lot of interest on behalf of a number of members of the committee to do that. Because on the surface, that was when we were trying to build a new school.
Yep.
We had kids and they had space. And so on the surface, everyone got a little bit excited about it. Then when you pulled back the covers and you started to work the numbers and see how all that would work, we should have all moved to Millis, because it would have been a wonderful deal for Millis, and we would have been paying through the nose big time.
Yeah.
So you really have to look at these. You gotta be really careful. Regionalization does not always save you money.
No.
It does increase your capabilities, but it doesn't always save you money.
The other thing that came out, and actually this is something Rob and I bumped into a month or so ago. We were looking through town reports for some other reason, and I
Nothing better to do.
You're having a busy summer, huh?
we were researching something. It was vitally important, and
At the time, can't even remember what it was.
we bumped into a picture of a gathering of current and former selectmen, and Rob and I had the thought that it would be a great idea to have, and I'm not sure in what forum exactly, but to have a gathering of current and former selectmen. I mean, there's probably half a dozen to a dozen that I can name just off the top of my head, and I'm sure there's even more than that.
1, 2, 4, 5. I can think of 7 that are in town now.
Yeah.
8, 9, no, 10, 9, 10.
Jim Martin, Helen Cleary.
Jim Martin.
Helen Cleary.
Was he really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew he did a lot of other things. I didn't realize he was a selectman.
That'd be a nice idea.
Helen Clary would be great, and Joyce. And
That's 12 or 14.
we'd have to drag Ramesh back to town.
Well, you said in town, right? I mean,
Well,
I'm sure we could get him back. Jonathan Smith, Jim Tomaszewski.
yeah, Jack McFeely,
Yeah.
John Szewski.
We'd have to leave your father-in-law out. We don't want you two arguing in the middle of the party. But Jerry, Bill Perry, is he still in town?
No.
I don't think he's in town.
No, he lives in
family
Boston.
in town, right? He
He's
did
not-
have family.
He's not in town anymore.
Yaffa Drotman's left.
She's
as well.
gone.
She's like North Carolina.
Who's the gentleman's name that was on the board with Yaffa?
Jim Gipfried.
No, well, Jim
Lee
Gipfried
Flieger?
was- Lee Flieger. That's what I was trying to think of. Lee Flieger. Well, the names
Mr.
are out on the
Kushner's
board.
passed.
Yeah, we can figure it out. That we cheat. We'll go to the cheat board and figure it out. That would be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun? So I don't. You have to think. I mean, unless you have an idea right now, we'll have to think of what kind of forums to do it in.
Oh, I did have one other piece of business. I apologize. Thank you.
Well,
I know you had the under at 8, but I'm trying to get it to the over. I received an email from a gentleman in Millis. There is an organization that has something to do with missing prisoners of war.
Mhm.
And there are what they call captains within communities, and about 2/3 of the towns in Massachusetts apparently have one of these captains. Some towns share.
Mhm.
And they've asked it, we don't have one, obviously. And the gentleman at Millis has approached me about whether or not we would like to partner with them on this. And on the surface, I thought the board would certainly be willing to listen to it.
Hmm.
So with your permission, I'll let them know that we'd love to have them come in and talk to us about it and get them on the
6:30.
agenda. Would that be
6:30 on the
agreeable?
23rd. Okay.
It was very moving what they do.
Yeah.
And how they work with the families of POWs.
And along those lines, we still need a graves officer, right?
Yes, we do. Veterans Graves Officer.
I wonder if Mr. Conklin would be willing to double duty it.
Yeah.
Don't know how much goes
Can ask
into
him.
being a the Veterans Graves Officer.
Yeah.
It does have to be a veteran.
Yep.
Mhm.
And John did a lot of research, and he worked hard for his small stipend.
Okay.
Stipend position?
I think it is.
I think it is.
Right? Oh, it's stipend, isn't it?
Is it? I think it's hourly.
Oh, maybe it was just a budget, sorry. Oh,
It's a
hourly.
budget. I think it's, yeah,
Hmm.
there is a budget.
Oh, there's a budget, right, there is a budget
Yeah,
line item.
$1,500 or something like
Yeah,
that,
it's
I think.
nothing.
$1,000, I think.
Okay. Well, hearing no other discussion items, I move that we adjourn to meet again July 23rd at 6 p.m.
Second.
Not up for debate. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, everyone. We will return July 23rd.
At an earlier hour.
Have a safe and happy summer in the meantime.
Did everybody sign? You didn't.